Today's presentation on LBS Business School Innovation Series is by Kaye. Nick's the founding Chief Executive Officer of the Sydney School of Entrepreneurship. Nick's presentation is entitled An Ecosystem, Satellites and Stage, Setting Up the Sydney School of Entrepreneurship, or SSE. Nick argues that the SSE offers a model that can facilitate greater investment and collaboration across and between higher education sectors and industry. The role of SSE is to act as a platform and honest broker for bringing entrepreneurs within the 12 institutions it represents, supporting emerging innovators to pursue their entrepreneurial ambitions. Nick presents a case study of the development of the SSE, which opened in August 2017. Now, the SSE is an unprecedented new partnership between 11 New South Wales universities and TAFE New South Wales. It's based on the business model Nick successfully led for 10 years in Stockholm at the Stockholm School of Entrepreneurship. Now, some 35% of the Stockholm alumni are now highly active entrepreneurs and include new startups such as SoundCloud. When fully operational, at least 1,000 student entrepreneurs each year will participate in SSE courses and activities during their degree or TAFE program. And many more take part in a program of co-curricular activities, including workshops, hackathons, and educational boot camps and networking events. So please enjoy Nick's presentation.
It's the quietest I've ever heard that played, and you probably will too, but I hope you heard enough of that. I'll tell you a little bit more about this strange beast that we've created in Sydney in the last 12 months. But a little bit of background first. So, as spoken of earlier, startups are so important to us. In New South Wales, net jobs growth is actually driven by a very small number of fast-growing startups. It's a really important part of our current environment. We've seen a lot of discussion in public forums. We're told that sector will be worth $109 billion to the Australian economy by 2033. And at this stage, Sydney is actually rated as one of the top 3 startup ecosystems in Asia. So I think for all of us, it's a really pertinent area of development at the moment. The background, as you heard in that short video, to this new initiative in Sydney is actually founded in Stockholm, Sweden. So we touched on Berlin earlier, in fact, where many of the alumni from the Stockholm School also operate, and Denmark. And why this is pertinent is I think it's been really interesting to see how this strange experiment has played out over the last 15 years. You know, Stockholm is a very strong innovation hub per capita globally. 35% of the alumni from the Stockholm School of Entrepreneurship are actually active entrepreneurs. There have been a couple of unicorns come out of there. Many of you will have come across SoundCloud. Klarna is the biggest financial success. iZettle, which is the Square of Europe, has come out of our alumni there. And we're also seeing many of the alumni sit on different corporate boards, interestingly. So both in intrapreneurship and entrepreneurship have been very concrete outcomes from this environment. This experiment in Stockholm has informed this model that we're now building in New South Wales, and our aim quite simply is to help create the next generation of entrepreneurs, entrepreneurial thinkers and entrepreneurial doers. Yet the way we're going about it is a little bit different, as we're all really well aware at this stage. You know, I think every university, it's safe to say in Australia, is active in this space to varying degrees. What's a little different in the context of the Sydney School of Entrepreneurship is it's a joint initiative by every New South Wales university and TAFE New South Wales. So Stockholm was unique, originally 3 member universities and today 5. Sydney School of Entrepreneurship is globally unprecedented, a collaboration between 12 tertiary institutions. We talked about timing a little bit earlier. We talked about bigger forces. There's a lot happening at the moment, and I think this has just been perfect timing where state government support and vision has brought the institutions together and has provided the cornerstone funding to make this a reality. Now, as you can imagine, there's a lot going on in this space in New South Wales, as there is all over Australia. But I think we're well aware, particularly Victoria and New South Wales are very active at the moment in this arena. What we're not seeking to do with the Sydney School of Entrepreneurship is be the one-stop shop for all entrepreneurship. We're there to create a larger common stage amongst those member organisations. So they will have their incubators, they will have their wonderful programs, they will have their student entrepreneurship societies. What we can offer them in turn is opportunities for both the individual students and for the 12 member institutions that none of them could offer alone. Sydney in name only, statewide in operation, and very much global in ambition and perspective. Statewide in operation is very important to us. We have 12 diverse institutions with over 250 campuses. Our initial class or cohort that we have at the moment, 60 students, represents all 12 of those environments. We have marine biologists sitting next to technologists, business people, lawyers, hospitality professionals. It's a very varied group, and one of our ambitions and mandates is very clearly to work with our different stakeholders to help really create, some sort of curated serendipity amongst both the institutions but also the disciplines. So how do you actually do that? It sounds good. Again, timing is everything, but we've also got to have the activities and the action for that timing to play into. And so we do that in a variety of ways. What we've found has happened over time is that, in fact, academic units of study have begun to play less of a role in our broader offerings than they might have done 10 or 15 years ago, drawing upon that Stockholm experience. There were 1,000 students through the academic program on an annual basis, 2,000 to 3,000 through our co-curricular activities over there. We imagine that looking at these initial activities that we're offering, that the actual academic units will be a smaller subset of them again, and that in fact all the masterclasses, the demo days, the hackathons, the international boot camps that we've been running, the thought leadership program are going to play really important roles in terms of building this community. And I say community very specifically because we think that magic and that opportunity comes from the platform we can offer as an honest broker upon which to build that community. So we're lucky enough to have a lot of wonderful people like Christine who have, and I'm not saying Christine is herself at this point, but hopefully down the track, who have wonderful experience, networks, and are in a position where they'd like to really help work with us to craft this next generation of student entrepreneurs in a very altruistic fashion. And that's the type of community that we're looking to build, the sort of community where our alumni will come back, where initially they will inspire our students, they'll then recruit them, I imagine. If we see a similar pathway to Stockholm, they will invest in them time, they will share access to their venture capitalists and to their partners. That's an initial shot of our physical location. So while, as you may well imagine, there's a lot of blended learning, and we are in fact running activities all across the state of New South Wales, and we've begun with our global activities. So we had student startup teams in Beijing, Shanghai and Shenzhen last week as part of one of our immersive international workshops. The cornerstone of our operations is still a very small physical locale in Ultimo, so near Central Station in Sydney. Quite simply, it's a wonderful neighbourhood in terms of startups, but quite simply for access to the rest of the state and to the international airport, so that we can truly be Sydney in name only and global in perspective. I think something really important for today's audience is, of course, this type of initiative, while it is a wonderful collaboration between the 12 tertiary institutions, it's only as strong as that interaction with the startup community and our industry partners. And through this common mechanism, we're able to offer an opportunity for those different players to get involved in both those 9 different types of activities, whether it be as guest speakers, coaches, mentors, role models, to help us with our experiential learning when it comes to placing our student entrepreneurs into different startups or into different businesses, and to bring them real challenges and ideas into the classroom. We work very actively from this forum to also create new content in combination with our industry partners. So rather than offering bespoke executive education, we bring in our industry partners, we bring in our students, we bring in what I call the academic talent from our members. So we don't employ academics centrally, we bring together the academics from across those 12 members, and we create new events and offerings collectively with those different partners. So for us, given the bigger forces at play, given the co-opetition of our member institutions, this is about creating a coalition of the willing to achieve something that none of the 11 universities or even TAFE with its 500,000 students could do alone. And my invitation to all of you is, I think we have a very important challenge ahead of us as a country, and I think something that I would like to see more of as an expat who's Melbourne born but been away for 2 decades, based out of Stockholm, is to see a much stronger story and a lot more interaction between particularly Sydney and Melbourne, given their roles in the country. And my small part in driving that forward is to warmly invite all of you to come visit us. Please join activities, please fit in your ideas or your contact network to what we're doing up there, because this is really a forum for the coalition of the willing who want to make a real difference to our country, to our firms, and to our next generation of entrepreneurs. And I'd be very happy to take any questions at this point if you may have any.